So, we know that art for social impact holds great promise for driving social change, but many efforts fall short. It is important to identify several common reasons why these efforts do not always achieve their goals. Understanding these pitfalls can help us create more effective and impactful work. The first level is about influencing individual attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. This is where we encourage people to make personal choices. In the case of promoting people in taking the HPV vaccine, for example, the goal is to convince parents to vaccinate their children. And art for this can be done to have a personal appeal that would tug at the emotions of parents and caregivers, reminding them of the direct benefits of vaccinating their own children. If many parents are already aware of the importance of the HPV vaccine and are open to vaccinating their children, focusing on individual change is effective. This means encouraging parents to take specific actions, such as scheduling vaccinations for their kids. While individual change is powerful, it is not always enough to solve larger societal issues. Another common mistake is prioritizing our identity as artists or change makers over the actual issues we aim to address. When we focus too much on being seen as authentic or rebellious, our actions can become more about maintaining that image rather than making a tangible difference. This self-focus can create barriers to connecting with the broader public and hinder our ability to drive meaningful change. Instead of thinking about how we are perceived, we need to center our attention on the impact of our work. The goal should always be to drive meaningful change, not just to express our individuality. When we allow the focus to shift inward, on how we look or what others think of us, we lose the opportunity to connect with others, especially those who may not already share our views. This can make our efforts feel exclusive or inaccessible to the very people we want to reach. Ultimately, it's not our identity that transforms society. It's the tangible actions we take and the results we produce. The more we focus on the outcomes we want to achieve, the better our chances of making a real difference. In doing so, we can build genuine connections, reach new audiences, and ensure that our creative activism serves its true purpose, which is to inspire change, not just to express who we are. The next reason is solely relying on raising awareness. Raising awareness is a crucial first step, but it often isn't sufficient on its own. Simply exposing people to information or facts doesn't always lead to action. People can feel overwhelmed or indifferent when faced with too much information, which can result in inaction. Effective art for social impact requires that information not only informs, but also empowers and motivates people to take concrete steps toward change. To move beyond awareness, art must inspire a sense of urgency and provide a clear path to action. Without this, people may feel educated on an issue, but remain passive, unsure of how to contribute to solving the problem. The goal should be to create a connection between awareness and actionable solutions, ensuring that the audience not only understands the issue, but is also inspired to get involved and make a difference. Another problem lies in measuring success by the amount of media attention we receive. While media coverage can amplify our message, it shouldn't be the ultimate goal. Focusing too much on getting media hits can lead us to prioritize attention-grabbing tactics over meaningful content. The true success of our work lies in its ability to create real impact, not just a trend. This approach can lead to short-term visibility, but may not result in long-term, meaningful outcomes. The real measure of success should be the concrete impact of our efforts, such as whether our art shifts perspectives, influences behavior, or even contributes to policy changes. Another thing to consider is how media can sometimes distort the message, reducing complex issues into diluted, catchy headlines or sound bites, which can strip away the nuance and intent behind the work. While media attention can be beneficial, we should always ask ourselves, is the coverage sparking the right kind of conversation? Is it mobilizing people towards real action? Ultimately, the true success of our work should be measured by the change it creates, not just the noise it generates. The next problem we will discuss is over-focusing on sparking a dialogue or a discussion. Engaging people in discussion is valuable, but it shouldn't be the end goal. Conversations can generate new ideas and perspectives, but without follow-through, they remain just talk. Our aim should be to inspire action, turning dialogue into tangible change. Creating space for meaningful discussions is important, but it must lead to concrete steps that address the issues at hand. Dialogue can serve as a catalyst, but it's the follow through that drives social transformation. We must always ask ourselves, what will people do after this conversation? How can we help them move from talking about change to making it happen? By focusing on these questions, we ensure that discussions aren't just an exchange of ideas, but a platform for meaningful, lasting impact. Another issue is in overusing shock value. We already talked about how surprise can draw attention, but it often distracts from the actual message. Controversial or provocative art might get people talking, but the focus tends to be on the controversy itself rather than the underlying issue. While shock can grab immediate attention, it rarely fosters long term engagement or meaningful dialogue, which are essential for sustainable change. Instead of relying solely on shock, artists should consider how to draw people in through surprise, subtlety, or emotional resonance, leading audiences to think more deeply about the issue at hand. This approach not only attracts attention, but also encourages people to stay engaged, reflect on the issue, and take meaningful steps toward change. We'll talk about an example of this in a later session. One big issue we want to highlight is the problem of working in isolation. Efforts towards social impact work best when they are connected to a larger campaign for change. Let's say your piece is part of a movement to fight for better healthcare access. Your art might draw attention to the issue, but it's most effective when it fits into a broader strategy that includes advocacy, policy efforts, and public engagement. Without a clear connection to a larger goal, even the most visually stunning or emotionally powerful piece can fall flat. So, while it's important to think creatively, it's equally important to think strategically. The more you connect your artistic efforts to a broader social change strategy, the more likely it is that your work will lead to real, lasting impact. Artistic activism is about more than making statements. It's about creating movements that inspire action and drive real-world change. A final issue to be aware of is that most artists for social impact start with the best of intentions. We want to make the world a better place and are driven by passion and compassion. However, good intentions alone don't guarantee successful outcomes. Without careful planning and evaluation, well-meaning actions can miss the mark or even cause unintended harm. To turn our noble ideas into real change, we must focus on the actual impact of our work on others and the broader environment. We will dive into how to assess the impact of your work in the next lesson, ensuring that it's not just about our intentions, but also about achieving the desired impact.